Hi everybody, it's Kylie from Little Moo Designs. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a 6-inch zipper pocket. These zip pockets can be added to any of your Little Moo Designs clutches, bags, or pouches. This is a really handy tutorial, and once you've done a few of these, I assure you, you'll be wanting to add them to every bag that you make. Here's some examples of zipper pockets that I've made in other designs, just so that you can see. This is in a sewing folio. Super handy. It's quite rare that I would actually make anything these days without a zip pocket in it, just because they're such a handy thing to have. This is a shine-on sling bag, and here you can see I've added a larger zip pocket inside, which is super handy. So let's get started. So there's some tools that you're going to need to help you create your zip pocket. Firstly, you're going to need your design that you're working on. So here's my Tainted Love Clutch that I'm making, which is what I will be adding my zip pocket to today. You will need 2 pieces of fabric with lightweight interfacing on them, fused to the back. The general rule of thumb, depending on the size, so we're working on a 6-inch zip pocket today. So generally I would cut my pocket 8 inches wide by the desired length for a 6-inch. If I was making an 8-inch zip pocket, I would cut my fabric 10 inches wide. So you're wanting your fabric to be at least 2 extra inches wider than the finished size of the zip pocket that you would like. But today we are working on a 6-inch zip pocket. Zip pocket, can't even say it. So I would have, my fabric will be at 8 inches or larger wide, with lightweight interfacing on the back. You'll need your zip. Now today I am using a number 3 zip, but you can of course use your number 5 zips, and they are a little bit easier because of that wider zip tape that we spoke about in another video. But this was the only one that I had that I thought matched this clutch beautifully. So that's the zip that I will be working on today. So because I'm doing a 6-inch zip pocket, I need a zip that is a tiny bit longer than 6 inches. So I would be working with a 7 or an 8-inch zip for a 6-inch zip pocket. You need some sharp scissors. You need a friction pen. And if you haven't seen these before, these are what we call an air erasable marker. So when you heat the ink, it disappears. So they're really handy. I do like to use a roller to help smooth out the edges of my zip pocket. So if you do have one of these, this one's by Clover. I know some people have wooden ones I've seen from scrapbooking and the likes. Grab that if you've got it. If not, it's okay. You can work without it. I just find it helpful in getting a nice, neat finish. And the other thing that you need is, of course, a ruler. This one is exactly 6 inches, making it really, really simple to do this zip pocket. So we've got, first of all, you need to grab one of your zip pocket fabric pieces with the interfacing on the back. We're going to fold it in half this way. Find the halfway mark. We're going to work on the back of our fabric, okay? We're not touching our clutch or bag just yet. We're just working on the zip pocket piece of fabric. Now we're going to draw a 6-inch line, 1.5 inches from the top of our fabric. 1.5 to 2 inches is great. It's just leaving a bit of grab room. So as I said, this ruler is exactly 6 inches, so that's really handy. So just a line, like so. You're then going to draw another line 1/4 inch above and 1/4 inch below that center line that you've just drawn. I'm using a pen that I hope is really easy to see for you guys on camera. So then I just spin my fabric around like so, and I draw, the 1/4 inch line above. So you end up with a 1/2 inch wide box by 6 inches length. There's a reason though why we have that middle line, and I haven't just gone for the 1/2 inch. And then you're going to join your short edges together as nice and straight as possible. Like so. Just zoom in a little bit there so that you can see better. Okay, I then want you to take your ruler and put a little dot 1/2 inch in from each short edge, like so. You're then going to draw some little triangles. So from that corner to the dot, same on the other side. You can freehand these if you like, whatever works easiest for you. It's a bit of a worry when your freehand is neater than your ruling, isn't it? I'll take it. So this is what we end up with. So 1/2 inches wide, 1/2 inches wide, 1/2 inch wide by 6 inches length. At least 1.5 inches down from the top, especially for your first one, just so that we have room to move. Okay, so now we're going to come back to our clutch that we're working on today, which is the Tainted Love Clutch. Now you need to work out exactly where you want your zip pocket. So you can put this on the lining of your clutch or on the outside of your clutch, or even on the front underneath the little flat panel if you like. I feel like I'm going to put mine here on the back for this one. But what I wanted to show you is I sandwich all my fabrics up together like they would be when my clutch is finished. If I was working on the lining, I personally prefer mine to be on this back panel. So just lay yours out in the correct order and where they're going to sit so that you can work out that you've got the correct piece. Because of the angles, it's easy to put it on the wrong spot. Not that that's a problem. If you end up with it on the other side, it's just a design feature that we work with. But if you have a particular preference, now's the time to get it right. So I'm going to take my piece where I want so mine is my exterior back piece, and we're going to go here. Now the pattern piece does have a placement guide on it for your pocket. I know I want mine to sit about 1.5 inches or 1 inch down from that fold line, the join line that I've got here. So I'm just going to fold my clutch piece in half, clutch body piece, get that center mark. Now remember that I did this on the start, at the start of my zipper panel. So I just line up the center markings there. So that's my center mark on the zip, and I can see the crease in there. So I'm just going to use the top of that. So this is 1.25 inches down. That's quite good. So where your actual zip will lay is obviously in this center line that you've drawn. This is where your zip tape will be. So that gives you a bit of an idea when you're working out the placement that is correct for you. Remember, the patterns are a baseline. You guys can mix it up to suit exactly what you want. That's the beauty of making your own bags, clutches, and pouches. I'm just going to grab a couple of pins and pin through the zip pocket fabric and my clutch. Just get that little connector piece out of the way. We don't want to touch that. Your next step is to go over to your sewing machine, put your stitch length on a stitch length of about 2. We want to go small with these stitches. We're going to start about here. Doesn't really matter whether it's here, 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 but somewhere along the bottom line I like to start. And a stitch length of 2, and I stitch right up to here, needle down, and you want a nice sharp turn for that short edge. Here I do like to lower my stitch length again. So in these short edges, I will usually do a stitch length of about a 1.8. So from here, 1.8, then I go back to a 2, 1.8, back to a 2, forwards and backwards where I started. Now the reason for that, I'll show you in a minute. So I'm just going to go away and sew. Just remember, you're sewing on the outside line here of your box just to create a rectangle. And yes, you're going through both layers. So you're going through your zip pocket fabric, and please note, I meant to mention, they're now right sides facing, okay? And you're also sewing through your clutch body piece at this point. Okay, so you can, if I hold that up, hopefully you can see my stitch lines there. So they're really small. So I've done the 2 mil stitch along the long edges, and then I've done the 1.8 along the short edges. And hopefully you can see the stitch line there. I try to do my corners as sharp a turn as possible, really, really neatly. You don't want your thread sort of cutting the corners there, and I'll show you why that matters in this next step. So if you're happy with how this is looking, we need to get our scissors, and we're going to cut through all of our layers. Now this does freak people out because you're cutting your beautiful clutch or your bag right through. So I fold in half and I do a little starting snip. These are my favorite scissors. I think they're called Perfect Scissors by Karen K. Buckley. The tips on these, there's a smaller pair too, I just can't find mine, are just awesome for zip pockets. So you're cutting along that middle line to the tip of your triangle, like so. And then you're going to cut along the triangle as close to your stitching as you can without cutting your stitching. Be super careful here. And this is where smaller scissors can come in handy. The closer you can go, the better, without cutting your stitching. Now, if you do accidentally cut your stitching, go back and sew over that little corner so you get this. And same on the other side. Okay. Try these little guys. They might get in a little bit closer. Yeah, perfect. Oh, they're nice. Okay. It's pretty funny when you get excited by things like scissors, isn't it? Okay, so you now have this. Looks like a little post box. Now, so our next step is to actually push the zip pocket panel through that slot and get it all nice and flat. Now, that can be hard when I'm working through fleece, 2 layers of fabric, and also a mid-weight, lightweight interfacing. So what I like to do is cut the bulk out of my zip pocket like so. I'm going to use these sharp little scissors. So you just go along like this and snip out that bulk. Excuse my little pup out there. He's in his pen because there's farm machinery going, which is not safe for him. And he just wants to play with the kids. Okay. So just like this. And again, you're going as close to your stitch line without actually cutting your stitching, of course. So again, super sharp scissors are quite helpful. So you end up with this look, right way around. All right, so our next step, now this pocket piece is too long, but we'll cut that away later. We're going to push the pocket through the slot that you've just made like this. Okay. So we get this on the front and we have this on the back. Now, here's where my little roller comes in handy, or a bit of patience, I guess, also is helpful. I will go over and iron this, but what I do find is by just rolling, so I'm rolling my seam nice and flat. He's really not happy, is he? Every time I go to do a video, it's either animals or kids. Okay, so you can see that that is now sitting nicely with none of the zip pocket fabric peeking out. Now you can leave that and actually stitch in the ditch if you like that contrast look, but for this one we have enough going on with these bright fabrics, so we're just going to get it nice and flat using our roller. And these edges we just pull out. Now the most important thing is you get this looking schmicko on the front. The back no one's going to see, so I work from the front with this. Now these little corners here can sometimes be tricky. This is where we've done the small stitch length means you should not be able to see your stitching in those corners, which are a real pressure point when we do these zips. So this one's turned out quite good. I need to give it a little iron, but you can see that looks pretty good, doesn't it? All right, I'll just give it an iron and I'll come back. Okay, so we're ready now to add our zip. I'm happy with how that's all sitting. So let's grab our zip. Now again, today I'm using a nylon zip, so nice and easy to install. And here's a little Little Moo Design trick for you. I like to use double-sided tape to hold my zips in place when I do my zip pockets. If you try and use pins, you'll usually find that the zip tape is really hard to keep nice and straight. This is 1/4 1/4 inch wide tape. It's just from the scrapbooking section at the cheap shops. You don't want thick tape, right? Otherwise you'll see it on the zip tape, zip tape in your zip pocket, and we don't want that. So I just pull a little bit off. Okay, so as I was saying, we're just going to add some tape to each side of our zip on that outside edge, like so. Then we're just going to peel that paper away. You're going to grab your, now first you want to think about which way you want your zip pocket to zip up. Make sure it's the way that you like. Then I'm going to lay my fabric on top and get my zip tape in the middle, just like so. Press down and then just wiggle. If you're like me and your zip is a little bit longer than your pocket, just wiggle that zip head back in there, like so. So that's ready to stitch on the front, and this is how we're looking on the back. Now that we have our zip in place, we need to stitch it down. So what we're going to do is go over to our machine, put our stitch length at a top stitching length. So for me on my Benina 475, that is a stitch length of 3.5. And what you're going to do is stitch your zip in place using a 1/4 inch seam allowance all around your box. I don't like to get super close. I like to be about out here. So about a 1/4 inch seam allowance using a stitch length of 3.5. Okay, we now have our zip all stitched in place. So this is what it looks like on the front, and this is what it looks like on the back. Just cut those little excess bits off there. Now what I have gone and done is just cut the extra zip tape off here. And then I'm just going to use some fray stopper or fray lock just on those ends, those raw ends, just so we don't get any fraying. Went a bit heavy on the fray stop there, lucky it dries clear. So you're then going to take your other side of your zip pocket piece and put it on top of this one, right sides together. Grab some pins and just pin these together, not pinning through the body of your clutch or your bag, just the zip pocket itself. So we're going to do that around 3 sides. So we are not going to stitch closed the bottom of our pockets, because that is where we're going to turn our clutch or our bag through, so that we have no turning gap in our lining and things look nice and neat. Sorry, I'm a bit of a slow pinner. Now you can see that's way too big. I just used some scrap pieces, so I didn't cut them to the right length, but you can do that. You can cut it shorter. So your next step is to go away and sew the final touches on your zip pocket. So you're going to be stitching these 2 pieces of fabric together. So you're stitching your zip pocket fabrics only, not the body of your clutch. I can't stress that enough. It happens in many classes where people come back and go, it can't move because they've gone through the 3 layers. So you're just going through these 2 layers here. So you're going to stitch along your pinned edge up here, pull this away, stitch here, and I'm just using my usual stitch length of a 2.5 for this. We now have our finished zip pocket. So again, I've left that bottom edge opened. When we turn it over and we open our zip, we should be able to see our beautiful fabrics inside. Hope you find that tutorial helpful, and I can't wait to see all of your zip pockets. You feel free to drop a line below. Let me know if you have any issues with doing your zip pockets, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.